everyone. I am Lillian Tobin, and I wanted to talk to you about attachment styles. Now, this is amazing. I have been working on a wellness series, helping navigate through different wellness, social wellness, emotional wellness, physical wellness, spiritual wellness. And one of the things that I found is that our attachment styles are very important to get to know. Just like you should know our love languages, especially of the people that we are connected to, whether in friendships or significant other relationships. So one of the things that I found is that we have 4 attachment styles. And what does that mean? Attachment styles is how we attach to others. So our style of attachment, okay? And why is this important is because that attachment is how we see others, and whether we see others attacking us or dismissing us, or whether we feel loved and appreciated, okay? So those attachments are very important. And so let's talk just briefly about this. Now, I am not the most knowledgeable in this area. I just added this piece to one of my wellness training. And the reason I did that is because of working with therapists about this, because it is becoming very important, just like the love languages piece. All right, so what are the 4? Number 1 is the most that everybody strives for. Is called the secure attachment. Now, all these attachments are formed in early years. So your early childhood years, that is the foundation. That's when they got formed, these attachments. Okay? So a lot of people say we didn't have enough of this attachment or that. Is because they got formed in their early years. So what is the secure attachment? Hey, you had it good. You had a good, caretakers. They took care of you. They nurtured you. They loved you. There wasn't a lot of chaos in your life. Everything was more balanced. So you grew up with more confidence. You can deal with, having your independence and working together in your relationships as well. You're not frightened about emotions. You have a more even approach. Okay. The second one is called anxious attachment. And the anxious attachment characteristics is more of an anxious style. So you seek more assurance of others, you seek more closeness, and this developed because when in your early years, you didn't get your needs met, you didn't feel like you were validated, or you felt like people dismissed you, or you felt unheard. You were in that dynamic that maybe your needs were not met as quickly, and you had to make noise like cry or throw temper tantrums for people to notice you. So you became more anxious about trying to get your needs met. Okay. And then you have the avoidant attachment style. And this also in early years, they saw a lot of chaos in their lives, or their parents had to work 2 or 3 jobs and they didn't see them as much, and they got transfer from one person to the other to watch them. There wasn't a lot of stability. So, or they saw a lot of fights and yelling and conflict. And so they learned to avoid showing too much emotion, because that may trigger somebody to lash out. So they want to avoid conflict. They want to avoid, getting too close to somebody for fear of getting hurt or getting attacked. Okay. And then there's that combination of avoidant, anxious. And this is somebody that in the early years, they saw some of the they saw some of the chaos going on, or they also they were in a big family that weren't seen or heard. So the dynamic became both anxious and avoidant. Okay. Now, I am going to talk about the avoidant and anxious relationship dynamic. And why I'm doing that is one of the most common dynamics that you can think of. And the reason why is, opposites attract. But there's a key thing that an avoidant can provide the anxious and vice versa. Okay, so I really want to talk about that piece and as it relates to significant others. So I want to talk about it as it relates to the significant other approach. Okay, so I want to highlight that dynamic because I think people don't understand that it is important to know what your significant other's attachment style is, what it relates to conflict resolution. Okay, so let's explain that. If you have two attachment avoidance, they never really come really close because they're scared to get too emotional, too heightened, too close, for fear that it's going to turn into conflict or it's going to turn into attacks. Okay, so they tend to not be very as much connected emotionally as they need to be because they're afraid of that. If you have two anxious people together, there's a lot of too much chaos because they're always, oh, that happened, and everything is heightened. Okay, so they're not as calm and soothing. And of course, if you end up with a secured attachment and you're anxious or you're avoidant or you're anxious avoidant, you may feel like they don't get you. So there is conflict in any of those relationships for a reason. Now, once you know the style of that person, you can see what the key strengths of that attachment is. And that is why it's so important, because a lot of times the reason that we connect with the other attachment that is different than ours is because we are seeking something they have and vice versa. So I hope you understand that. And if it becomes a really big problem in your relationship, a lot of times we have to do what is called shadow work, which means we need to know what it is about us that makes us feel anxious or avoidant or whatever, because we a lot of times have not dealt with it since early childhood. Okay, so isn't that amazing? All right, so let's talk about the understanding the anxious avoidant relationship and how we can thrive together during uncertain times, during conflict. Okay, so how are we gonna thrive together when we're in conflict? Okay, well, you gotta recognize that in all relationships, okay, and friendships, our different attachment styles can either bring us together or break us apart. The truth. Okay, all right. Often we find ourselves with one person in the relationships that's more anxious and another one that's more avoidant. This is very, very common. All right. And again, they have things that really help each other. So for an anxious partner, you might feel worried or even fearful during conflict, during uncertain times. In these moments, let your avoidant partner know that what you're feeling. I am feeling stressed out by this. I am feeling anxious. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay? And let them know what you need from them. Listen, I need your calmness. I need you to reassure me that we're working together. I need you to understand why I'm feeling like this. Okay? You also should let them know, I don't mean to sound attacking. So if you feel that way, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just telling you how I feel at this moment. Okay? Be more vocal to that avoidant partner so that you don't scare them away. For the avoidant partner, know that your anxious partner doesn't expect you to fix everything. Okay? and doesn't expect you to have all the answers. They are literally just wanting your calmness. They want to be reassured by you that you're navigating this situation together. Okay? That you have each other's backs, that you're not dismissing them, that you're not stonewalling them, that you're not silently treating them because you don't like what you're hearing or what you're doing. Because the anxious partner's got the insecurities that says, he's not going to want or she's not going to want to meet my needs. Okay? Again, this is coming back from early childhood. So how do we help each other? Communicating and understanding the key strengths and appreciating that strength. Okay? So I know that, at times of that, it can be forgotten. So maybe knowing that you have an avoidant partner and you have an anxious partner, you could say, when there is no conflict, when there is no major stressor, you may want to say, you know what, I rely on you by, of this, and I'm going to ask you questions when I'm feeling uncertain. Or the other way, the avoidant partner can say, you know what, I know you have better intuition and you share your feelings more openly. What do you think, about this situation, or how are you feeling? So that you are confronting those differences in a more positive way. Okay? In times that you're having a conflict, okay, develop boundaries or key points that says, when I'm feeling like this, I want you to know I am not trying to avoid you, avoidant partner, saying that I'm just like, I get so flooded and overwhelmed that I have to sit back on my shell to kind of get grounded again. Okay, so I don't mean to make you feel bad about that. It's just the way that I navigate life. Okay, and the anxious partner can say to the avoiding partner, listen, the way I handle stress is I'm vocal. I'm going to be emotional. I'm going to say stuff that sometimes doesn't mean a lot to you. So I don't want you to feel attacked. I don't want you to feel that I am attacking you or making you the scapegoat or trying to make you handle everything, okay? So I want us to come to these boundaries and this understanding of where we are and how to help each other, okay? And remind each other that we love each other and that we bring stability to both, and that our differences are also our strengths in the relationship, if you know what I mean. Okay? So by understanding each other's needs and meeting them halfway, anxious and avoidant can thrive in so many ways. They can create a stronger bond and more support for each other. So in times of uncertainty, our relationships can become a source of strength, reassurance, and love. So let's begin by helping each other, because if not, it gets lost. And an avoidant partner can avoid the situation, and it shows the anxious partner that to them that they're not caring about their feelings, they're not hearing them, they're not understanding them, and that creates a bigger divide, eventually shutting down on one side or the other and breaking the relationship, instead of relying on each other's key strengths to make everything better for each other. Thank you. And for more information, there are so many amazing videos and therapists and people out there on YouTube. One I love that I follow is Heidi Prevey, and another one. There's a lot of them, but she really breaks down this in terms that are very, very easy to comprehend. It's so important to know your significant other's attachment style, because they see things in that perspective, and so it can really conflict with your style and their style. So it's better to know it and and work on the key strengths and help each other thrive.